So our garden has done really well this year, with the exception of our tomatoes. It started off really great, and it turned out not great. I was quite happy. The foliage was beautiful. We had so many clusters of tomatoes everywhere on every plant. I made some sauce out of some. I was really looking forward to making so much with my tomatoes, and then we got blight, or so I'm pretty sure it's blight. Anyway, I'm going to turn you around and show you what the tomatoes look like now, and they just make me want to cry. That was Pedro. That was our new rooster. His name is Pedro Sanchez, and my daughter named him after the guy from Napoleon Dynamite. Hey, you. The girls seemed to like him. Anyway, that's who that was. So I'm going to turn you around and show you our tomato devastation. So this is what they look like. Makes me want to cry. I had such high hopes for these tomatoes. There's a few on here that ripened late that don't seem to have it, but very few. I'll turn some over and go, oh yeah, I can use that one, and nope. So this is, if this is what I think it is, I'm pretty sure it is. It's called late blight, and it is really made worse by lots of humidity and hot days, which we have had both. I'm in Ontario, Canada, growing zone 5B, and we had a lot of heat waves this year and a lot of rain. And anyway, this particular blight, there's early blight and late blight. So because we got it later, I'm just assuming this is late blight. And anyway, it'll affect your potatoes too. And I do notice that our potato foliage died off early. We thought our tomatoes had potassium deficiency, and because the bottom leaves were starting to yellow, which is what happens with potassium deficiency. So we treated it, and we thought that that got it. But looking back, I think that was the blight starting. So what happens is the leaves will start to yellow, and they'll almost have like a yellow halo on the outside of the leaf, and then they'll start to die off, which is what's happened here. So you can see these tomatoes, like this one, it looks good on one side, and then you turn it over and it looks like that. Almost like a brown sunken look there. So yeah, it's really devastating because it looks fantastic and then it's rotten. So, I just stepped on one, gross. But anyway, we've got some more down here. See? They look nice. And then they've got this rot spot. Looks good there, and rotten. I was able to pick some that did not have that, and I made some tomato juice and I just froze it. I've read conflicting articles as to whether they're safe to eat or not. It's a fungus. This late blight is actually a fungus. So if you find ones like this, I would assume they're okay, but I'm really gonna have to check into this more. So I found an article, I believe it was from the University of Maine, and it talked about late blight and what causes it. Their spores, it's a fungus, and the heat and high moisture is a big problem. It affects, I believe, nightshade. So like I'd mentioned earlier, potatoes and tomatoes. I'm not sure about eggplant or tobacco, possibly, but I'm not too sure. But it did say, and I always thought that the blight would stay in the soil for 3 to 4 years. I've read that before. But this article actually mentioned that it does not stay in the soil because it actually needs a live host. Now, we have thrown in the past tomatoes with blight in our compost pile, thinking it was fine. I suspect because I have tomato plants growing, like volunteer plants growing everywhere in there, tomato and potato, that would be the live host. If there was nothing in the compost pile, I believe that the blight would not live because there's no live host. Now, with me leaving those live plants in there, that's probably caused us to get blight in previous years. So I guess I just need to clean up my compost pile, and any plants that come up, get rid of them, because I just like to see. I always like to see what grows in there, but apparently that's not so healthy for my garden. Now apparently there is a way that you can spray your plants with the fungicide, and I have this little pamphlet that I got from a friend that were late 1800s, early 1900s. This one pamphlet had an article about late blight in potatoes, and that is actually what caused the potato famine in Ireland. So this article was talking about how to fix that, and it is a combination of lime and bluestone. Now, don't quote me, I haven't tried this yet, but the article said it is lime and bluestone and water. And I had to look up what bluestone was. It is copper sulfite. So allegedly that mixture, if you spray it on your plants at about 6 inches high and then do another 3 applications throughout the growing season, that is supposed to combat the fungus which causes the late blight. So we're going to try that next year. So we're digging potatoes today, and the foliage is all dead, and we suspected that our potatoes also had blight, and we've dug this much, and we have found potatoes that are rotten. So that is a total disappointment. You can see, I don't even want to touch it because it's disgusting. You can see this potato here. It's rotten in the ground. And we do have a bunch that don't look like they've been affected, but I don't know if they will rot in storage. This one actually feels really light, so I'm going to see if it's hollow on the inside. I'm going to. Nope. Nope, it's not. Oh, gross. Yeah, so there's another rotten potato. Again, I don't like touching them because they stink. Yeah, it's a real disappointment all year. That was Isabel singing in the background. It'd be interesting to see if these purple potatoes show sign of blight, because they're a heritage variety. Maybe they're blight resistant. Nope, it does not appear so. This one looks like it's rotting already, so maybe not. The heck is that? Actually, you know what? I think that is blight because, yep, because I read in that article, that old article, that they will have dry sunken spots. And there's bugs, see the bugs eating in there? So that's rot. And that, you can see the tiny little worms in there. Tiny little, nope, so that must be one. There's another one.
We'll have to look them over before we keep them.
Yep. So apparently the blight affects nightshade. So peppers are nightshade. You can see you've got a lot of beautiful peppers, but as they ripen, they have these rot spots on them, which I would imagine is blight. Really disappointing because they're beautiful, but then they have all these blight spots that look very similar. There's a ripe one here. Very similar to the blight markings on the tomatoes. Man, that's upsetting. I had high hopes for these peppers. I was gonna pickle them like the hot pepper rings. So you think they're gonna be good. And that one's got the rot spots too. Yep, starting there. And they just continue to rot. So I wonder if I pick them, kind of like the tomatoes. When I picked the tomatoes, they didn't have, when I picked them green, they didn't show signs of the blight. And then I ripened them on the porch and they didn't rot. So perhaps if I pick these peppers before they show signs of the blight and let them ripen, we'll see. It's the only thing I can do. I noticed the blight did not affect the jalapenos, and that could be that they may be blight resistant. Also, these little chili peppers, they don't seem to have any rot spots on them either. So, and the lunchbox peppers did not show any sign of blight. So maybe these are blight resistant too. Let's hope. So if that is what your tomatoes look like, you may have blight, a late blight, and sorry, because we have it too. So anyway, I hope this little video has helped you identify your issues in your tomatoes, and it's really nothing that can be helped once it's that far along. But hopefully next year we can learn from our mistake and my mistake with the compost pile, and treat them early on and continue treating them throughout the season. So thanks for coming along with me today. I hope this video helped. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you again next time.